and welcome to actually the first of 2 consecutive weeks of archive thrifting. And I'm sure that's not going to break too many hearts. But anyway, if you regularly watch Archive and you follow me on social media and all, you're probably all too aware, painfully aware at this point, that I've been hard at work lately trying to finally get the Oddity Archive soundtrack album out the door, which has been in the pipeline for a few years now. And I haven't put out anything in hard copy form since 2010, but I just don't remember it being this much of a process. It seems like there's a lot more back and forth with the manufacturers, and they're more persnickety about the artwork these days, and there's a lot more paperwork involved than I recall. So I guess it's for the best that I had a really good run of thrifting over the summer, and I was able to hold back some pretty decent footage for, shall we say, leaner times like this. And so with that, we've got footage from 3 stores today, and the first two, that footage was shot way back in mid-June, before I went off to Minnesota to do the AM Stereo Redo episode, and I shot a thrifting episode while I was out there too, and of course, guess what got released first? So otherwise, the third slash final store, that footage dates to just a little after Labor Day, and they were just starting to put out some of their Halloween stuff, so you'll get your first little taste of Halloween thrifting this week, but you'll get your full proper dose of Halloween thrifting next week, which is remarkably similar to just everyday thrifting. But anyway, consider today's episode to be your little last blast of summer. And it's time for our annual visit to I-29 Antiques, with some special guest mosquitoes buzzing around. Anyway, it wouldn't be a trip to this store without checking in with our lawn ornament buddies, and it kind of looks like the flamingo is hungry, and the deer are looking to the passing cars for help. Well, I don't think it's coming. The owl can't bear to look, and, neither can I, so what else is shaking around here? Holy crap! If Salvador Dali designed a country barber's chair. The Alien and the Yeti, coming this fall to NBC in 1983. Looks like they got steamrolled. At least the Alien seems to be cool about it. Now, this is a Shango special if I ever saw one. Almost looks like it was intended to be attached to a tractor, and actually it might have been. I've actually never seen one like this before. Apparently this company went under in the late 50s, and I would guess this would have had to have been one of their last models. Indoors now, and Johnson's spoon. Yes, I'm clearly mentally still 11 years old. Firm. Okay, I gotta get out of this aisle. In the records, nothing too special. Hey, Jim Croce. But I've already got all of his stuff in some way, shape, or form. But I think the real gem of this lot is the one from the Buoys, purveyors of the all-time best hit record about cannibalism. And yes, the album's proper title is Dinner Music. Well played, gentlemen. Yes, those are still the same CEDs you've seen every time I've done a thrifting video in this store. And I've seen them personally as far back as 2011, I think. Just give it up already. Somehow I missed this one when I did the Mad Magazine Ephemera episode a few months earlier. If the internet's anything to go by, the objective seems to be the same as the Mad board game. Just swap out getting rid of all your Mad money for getting rid of all your cards. I don't remember exactly how much they wanted, but it was definitely more than the $10 or so that this thing fetches on Fleabay as of my making this. I admit I had to look it up. It just sounded too dumb to be real. And indeed, there is no such thing as a Zamada security system. Zomodo, on the other hand. Anyway, in the VHS, it's a downright crappy selection. And we're going to go into full tilt redneck mode here. Anyway, this was a disappointment. Charlton Heston's Celebrity Shoot. And here I was thinking we were going to see some D-list celebs get their asses blown off, but no, it's a bunch of D-listers target shooting. Bummer. In retrospect, I probably should have picked it up anyway. Oh well, the selection rarely turns over here. I'll grab it next time. Now there's a great VHS title. Double Cluckin' for Canada Geese. And a dude on the front is choking his goose in public. Rude. Another disappointment. Redneck Huntin' Club. 4 words. Alas, no rednecks get hunted here. Call me a nutcase, but I'd kinda like my own regulation size slot machine someday. Of course, I'd have to mod it to be a winner every time. Looks like the only thing this thing's ever given out is dirt and mouse droppings. Remember, kids, Walkman didn't always have a cassette or CD player attached to them. And alas, this one does not do AM stereo. It's truly a basic model. And yeah, I saw the chord organ underneath. I gotta figure out how to replace the reeds in the one that I've already got. Yet another CB radio. I still need to get some kind of antenna setup going so I can get my old Sears unit back online. Not that there's much of anything shaken around here on the amateur bands. Anyway, I used to build my own Hot Wheels tracks out of old shoeboxes and stuff. But yeah, this was for the rich kids. Having said that, I could get some pretty serious speeds out of my couple of favorite cars on cardboard tracks. Otherwise, a couple of battery chargers, seemingly for RF-controlled cars and airplanes and stuff. Yeah, I never got into that whole trip. Still gotta form that band that plays everything on first act instruments. Of course, I think you could buy these new for less than what they wanted. Watch, they think first act equals Fender or Gibson or something. Well, Benny the Grim Reaper strikes again. Like Randy Meisner, Olivia Newton-John, Loretta Lynn, Norm Macdonald, and a few others, I shot this about a month before the subject, in this case Paul Rubens, passed away. I tell you, I gotta learn to stop killing celebrities, or at the very least pick up their stuff so I can sell it for a nice profit after their deaths. Well, there's another Shango special. As for me, it's got the Conelrad markings, albeit not as pronounced as I'd like. The nameplate is gone, part of the knob seems to be missing. It's all around pretty beaten up, but it seems to sorta work. Oh well, the hunt continues for my special Conelrad radio. Now, I've owned a few of these talking Viewmaster reels for several years now, but never found a unit to play them in. Until now. Unfortunately, the reel that was already in there was hopelessly jammed. The mechanisms didn't seem to work, and they wanted $40 for it. $40 seems to be the going Fleabay rate for a working one of these things. Had it worked, especially if they threw in the reels, yeah, it would have been an instant yes for me. I think it's getting to be high time for me to be investing in a Variac. I'm seeing these cool TVs periodically, but at 60 years old or so at this point, I don't really wish to just plug it in cold. And unfortunately, according to the tag, it's already been done. And for that reason, I fear that would mean that the TV would go boom on me within a few minutes if I bought it and tried to plug it in. Oh well. Oh dear. I think we found the cause of the flattened alien out front. I tell you, this dude means business, and I think he's challenging me. Okay, this is a bad situation. I'm out of here. And the haul from this store consists of a few choice tapes from that rednecky section. Jeff Foxworthy, the incomplete deer hunter, and I've got a real soft spot for old Foxworthy. He was the first stand up comedian I ever saw live. It was for my 13th birthday. Anyway, I also grabbed the Redneck Huntin' Club tape. Again, no redneck hunting seems to occur here. And no political junk implied here. I picked up this tape from the NRA because it's one of those elusive, disposable VHS tapes. First one I've ever seen in the wild that kinda looks playable. And after one of our signature Midwestern pop-up thunderstorms, we're over at Pickers. But I'm not going in until I get my Johnny Winter fix first. Nothing here worth dying for. Understatement of the millennium. Rather amusingly, the sign is for sale. And on we go to the almighty Temple of the Savers. Always gotta hit up the CDs. And right out of the gate, the first of the two 90s Emerson Lake and Palmer reunion albums, Black Moon from 1992. And I know this probably sucks. That's why I hold out for these albums at the thrift store. Otherwise, we've got Lucinda Williams' only decent album. Still holding out for an original late 80s issue, though. This has had a few remasters now, and all of them are brick-walled. Otherwise, there's some decent stuff, but a lot of stuff that I've already got. However, quietly tucked away is one of those Mobile Fidelity gold CDs. This time it's Frank Sinatra's Songs for Swingin' Lovers. I'm more into Alan Sherman's Songs for Swingin' Livers, but that's just me. Anyway, I pretty indiscriminately pick up these gold discs just to hear how they turned out. And this one, artwork notwithstanding, looks to be in really nice condition. In the cassettes, Elvis Presley's final album, Moody Blue. Now, rather infamously at the time, this was pressed on blue vinyl, but as far as I know, this never got released with a blue cassette or 8-track shell. In the vinyl, I found The Carpenters' most infamous album. Yeah, this is the one with Calling All Occupants of Interplanetary Craft on it. Kind of looks like the record is trying to escape the cover. But sadly, this is one of those days where you can just tell by the spines that it's a lot of duds. In the electronics, it's always so tempting to pick up these cheap video capture cards to give the Ben's junk treatment to, but I would just wind up making the same video over and over, and I already teeter dangerously on the brink of that. Having said that, rather amusingly, they show a Handycam with a Firewire output built in on the box, which totally negates the need for that thing. Brilliant marketing. Anyway, elsewhere, I found a Sling box not too terribly long after the service was discontinued for good, and I'm sure some hacker somewhere is yelling his butt off at me for not picking it up. Otherwise, I found a two-way VHS rewinder fast-forward thingy, but I could really use another Betamax one. Underneath that, a VHS and DVD combo unit. And of course, only the DVD side has any of the fancy outputs. The hunt continues. And the modest haul from this store consists of two CDs, Emerson, Lake and Palmer's Black Moon and the Mobile Fidelity Gold CD of Frank Sinatra's Songs for Swingin' Lovers. Not exactly the most flattering picture of Sinatra, is it? And on to today's final store. And as usual, we're stuck at a really bad angle from the sign. But according to the window, I think they're starting to put out their Halloween stuff. So let's check it out. Damn right the spider's not for sale. He's an institution at this store at this point. Otherwise, oh boy, this does not look promising at all. Some cheapy trick-or-treat pails and pot holders, and this does not look good. Okay, what's up with the tie? Oh, lovely. Well, I guess if you're going to go as an especially sick early 20th century doctor for Halloween, it'll work. Anyway, out in the main part of the store, ripping off Paul Rubens so soon after his death. Well, I guess I know where to come if I ever need PVC garland, whatever the hell that is. They've started chucking the vinyl, 8-tracks, and cassettes all in the same bin at this store, and it's always a mess now. Anyway, we've got some book and record sets in varying degrees of completeness, and Kid Stuff Records strikes again. Unfortunately, most of those were missing the records. Anyway, on a very classic archive note, it's the revenge of Irwin the Disco Duck. And nothing says get down with your bad self like Music Box Dancer. Otherwise, it was coming up on Oktoberfest when I shot this, so of course we gotta have some dodgy German stuff. But then it's right back to the middle of the road. Well, this kind of looks promising. Orrin and Gary, an organ and drums duo. I think Attila beat them to the punch, though. And as it turns out, these guys were from Madison, South Dakota, like less than 2 hours from here. Then, after some more mediocrity, I found some Rick Wakeman, King Arthur. This feels awfully light, though. Of course, the record and the book are missing. Mixed in with the 8 tracks are a couple of late-period Atari 2600 games, Crystal Castles and Sword Quest, which can be picked up for a couple bucks a piece at most used video game stores. I've already got a ton of Atari games I don't play. Speaking of Atari, mixed in with the kids' clothing is an Atari Flashback 2, composite video and mono audio only, as one would kind of expect. But yeah, no controllers, no nothing. I've already got a real Atari, so no need for this. In the CDs, another local flavor candidate. Ted and Sue with Honky Tonkin'. And do honky tonks have jukeboxes? The ones in Denver, at least, only used to have live music and or regular restaurant PA stuff. Conceptual issues aside, this looks way too cheap and wonky to pass up. You know, I've owned a few boomboxes in my day, and every last one, even the major brand ones, have been total junk. This kinda looks like one of the ones I would have had growing up. The Tape Eater Special. I've got 2 RCA full-sized VHS camcorders already, and if you could put the best of the two of them together, I would have one good fully functional unit. This one was missing the power supply. It didn't look like it would work with any of the ones that I've got lying around. And yeah, I wasn't going to drop the $16 to find out. On another camcorder note, I found this oh so very early 90s looking camera bag. And sure enough, it was home to a cheap yet kind of advanced Video 8 camera from Sharp. Advanced in that it's got a good-sized LCD display, cheap in that it's pretty light on the features and is only capable of mono audio. But to sweeten the deal, there's a used tape kicking around in that bag, and of course I already have ways of checking those out. And also in there was a very old clock battery. But at least CR 2025s are still made, and they're still pretty easy to come by. Yeah, this had everything except the power adapter. But having said that, at $8, it's at least good for the bag, the tape, and the cables. Now, if I can get it to work, this could very well become this year's token old camera to take around and check out the fall scenery. Yeah, I'm grabbing it. And the haul from the Goodwill consists of an 8-track of Dan Fogelberg's mostly instrumental Twin Sons of Different Mothers album, which I've already got on CD. And yeah, this is one of those tapes where one song gets repeated, but I picked it up because it's one of those relatively rare Dolby encoded 8 tracks. Then we've got 3 local flavor candidates, Nashville Style by Vic Cordell, Honky Tonkin' from Ted and Sue, and then interrupting things for a moment, a hit Records 45, a cover of the Supremes' Love Child, backed with something from Steve Miller, but I don't think it's that Steve Miller. And then the last local flavor album from Oren and Gary by request. Then 2 Irwin albums, one of which coming from after the name change to Irwin the Dynamic Duck, and of course the Sharp Video 8 camcorder, which I forgot to include in the shot, and you'll see again in just a second. And the final haul for this episode consists of 3 LPs, 2 from Irwin the Dynamic, formerly Disco Duck, Duck Wars, and In the Navy. For the local flavor pile, we've got Oren and Gary by request, autographed no less. We've got the hit Records 45. We've got the Dan Fogelberg, Tim Weisberg 8-track. We've got some further local flavor candidates from Vic Cordell and from, of course, Ted and Sue. Then we've got 2 more everyday kind of CDs from Frank Sinatra, a gold disc no less, and Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Then we've got 3 somewhat firearm-happy VHS tapes from the NRA, because it's a disposable tape, from the Redneck Huntin' Club, and from, at least nominally, Jeff Foxworthy. And of course, the Video 8 camcorder. And yes, I flea-bait an AC adapter for it. Everything seems to work. Whether or not the battery is still good enough to hold up to a field test is anyone's guess, though. Anyway, the cost of this haul came out to about $26. And that's it for this installment of Archive Thrifting. Join me next week for another thrifting video. I'll talk to you then.
You don't want to come up with a new member to take Jim's place, then we're going to have to think about raising our club dues.
Now, wait a minute, Tom. I've got problems, too. My wife's just had an operation. She done had both boobs took off, and it costs a heap of money. I mean, I ain't got any boobs or money left.